deal with talent. Now, as I went across companies, I really, I spent my entire career with 2 companies, Cummins and Microsoft, and you tend to get ingrown and inbred. So this was my first time to go to 25, 30, 35 companies and see what's going on. And I was really amazed at 2 things. One is the magnitude of the talent crisis in India. You all deal with it every day. It's not just the difficulty of hiring people, the attrition, double-digit attrition rates, and what you have to do to keep people happy and so forth. It manifests in so many different ways. It manifests, for instance, as the critical shortage of middle managers, right? People who are deep functional experts in supply chain or project management or any of these things. Or people who can run a 50 crore business, P&L, without a lot of support. People who can run and close a 1 crore deal, forget $1 million, just 1 crore deal without a lot of support and supervision and handholding. Very, very, very few in all our companies. So there's this middle management shortage. There's also a CEO succession crisis. You look at even the best Indian professionally run companies, L&T, Tata Group, etc. They have huge problems figuring out where their next leaders are going to come from. And if you look at them, they all do things by the book. They have talent management processes, leadership development programs. But something is not going wrong because they don't have CEO successors. You look at multinationals, same thing. The only people profiting are the executive search firms. Every company is desperately looking, and there's musical chairs in terms of the talent moving across all our companies. So there's a huge talent crisis, but the really surprising thing to me is nobody is doing anything about it. This is obviously an exaggeration. There's only lip service, very little real effort in companies around the whole leadership development, talent development agenda. And I was puzzled by why this is. Now, last week I was on a flight and I was reading the New Business Today, which says best employers in India. Well, first of all, I was surprised by the best employers in India. But more importantly, when you look across all the stories, everything is about what? It's about the wine tasting on Friday night, it's the free Thai foot massage, it's the free food in the cafeteria, and so on. So all the stuff about to make it attractive for young employees to come and work and stay there. And I'm not laughing at this. I think it's necessary, but it's far from sufficient. Almost nobody in those companies is talking about what are we doing to become a school for leadership? What are we doing to invest massively in creating these competent middle managers? I didn't see any of that, okay? And I didn't see much of it happening as I visited most of the companies I did. And I said, what's going on? Why is this so? It's like, somebody has a chest pain, they go to the doctor, and then it turns out you need a triple bypass, and the doctor says you better change your lifestyle. And then you go home and order a pizza and drink beer. Nothing changed. And that's honestly what I found. And this morning I was talking to Rekha and Akhil, and I said, am I right? Or are you seeing this too? And I think so. There's a lot of lip service, very little action. But why is this so? And this is what in the book I call this the treadmill syndrome. What's happening in our companies is, if you think about a company that's growing 20% with 15% attrition, okay, that's fairly normal. 20% growth, 15% attrition. What it means is you're hiring 1/3 of your workforce every year, okay? That is a huge amount of effort, okay? There are not many countries in the world where companies are hiring 1/3 new workforce. So between the challenge of hiring 1/3 new people and delivering the quarter, there is no energy left to worry about leadership development, capability development, etc. You add to this the fact that this leadership is accountable only for the numbers, delivering the quarter somehow, not for the talent agenda. You also say, listen, by the way, we can't be spending all this fancy amount on learning and development, so you constrain the budget. And you basically have a treadmill that's going faster and faster as the size of the business increases, and one day you crash. It's impossible to deliver more growth, okay, because you don't have the leadership and the people capability to do that. There was a PwC survey which has just come out, Global CEO Survey, and 40% of Indian CEOs in that survey say, listen, we're unable to deliver our budgeted growth, and we've had to cancel or slow down strategic projects because of this leadership gap. Okay, So my question really is then, if this is the treadmill phenomenon, and how do we get off the treadmill? What do we do about it? And I've realized it's really about three things. Number one, if you want any behavioral change, you better hold your leadership accountable for the talent agenda. Okay? So if 50% of the bonus is not based on growing leaders in terms of building new capabilities, and you don't have a good way to measure that, nothing will really fundamentally change. Okay? And at the companies that do a good job of this, whether it's Unilever, P&G, or GE now, they do this. Okay? In most other cases, well, it's still the HR person's job to own the talent pipeline, and the leader is just accountable for delivering the quarterly numbers. So this is one. The leadership, the country head in particular, or the CEO in an Indian company in particular, has to take huge bets on young people. See, there's no longer the luxury of time to allow people to mature into jobs. There's no time. You have to prepare them in some accelerated way for large jobs. Now, when I looked at my own career, in all modesty, the reason I was successful was largely because at important moments in my career, somebody took a bet on me and gave me a job that I was completely unqualified for. I was 32 when I was made the managing director of Tata Cummins joint venture. Until that time, I had run a team of 250 people. It was a joke, from going from there to there. But somebody decided, we're going to take a bet on Ravi, and I worked damn hard and made it successful. I was 35 similarly when somebody said, let's make him chairman of Cummins India. This is this old flagship company, publicly listed. I didn't have the maturity or the skills for the job, but somebody bet that I would learn. And it turned out okay. I was 40 when Microsoft said, listen, we'd like you to be the chairman and country head for Microsoft in India. And I said, listen, are you sure you know what you're getting? Because until that time, I wasn't very IT literate. My secretary used to print out the email and give it to me, and I would mark it up and give it back to him the next day. And I said, listen, you better know what you're getting. And they said, yeah, fine, we're betting you will learn. And that's how I got there. And you look at anybody who's successful, chances are they got there because somebody early in life decided, we're going to take a risk. But today, most of us have become conservative and cautious, and we're unwilling to take such large bets on young people. And I think that's got to change. So change leadership accountability is job number one. The second is we need to start really, really investing large amounts of money on